This is your video orientation to LJS 236 from the Schoenberg Collection and the Kislak Center in the University of Pennsylvania Libraries. This is an Italian manuscript written in the second half of the 15th century in northern Italy. It is in its original binding, and this is actually something I want to pay special attention to. The binding itself is made of leather over board, and you can see it has the bosses on the front and the back, and what remains of a clasp here, so that originally would have been used to sort of keep the book closed. But over time, unfortunately, the binding has actually come off of the text block, which is unfortunate for the book, but for us it means that we get a really good look at how a text block is put together, which is not something we usually get to see. So I'm just going to lift this up and show you the edge of this text block. So the way manuscripts are made is you have sheets of parchment or sheets of paper that are folded over and made into little booklets that we call quires. And then the quires are sewn together to make the book. And you can see here very clearly all of these little quires here. And you can see how they're sewn together. Now, I am not a specialist on this, but I can tell you that you can see these three sort of lumpier bits here. There's cord underneath there, so like little bits of rope. And as the sewing is done, the quires are actually sewn onto these cords. So there's thread sort of wrapped around the cords as they're sewn together. And you can see little holes here that must be part of the sewing process, and then you can see they're sort of drawn together at both the top and the bottom. So that's particularly interesting here. This manuscript is made of paper, and it is a medical miscellany. So the first half is all one text, Arnaldus de Villanova's Thesaurus pauperum, and then the second half is sort of a collection of other texts, but they're all concerned with diseases and remedies for diseases. It's not exactly complete. You can see on this page, but this happens on almost every page, there are little teeny letters here and then spaces. And what's happened here is the scribe left space for somebody to come in later and write larger initials, and it hasn't happened. It didn't happen. What did happen, though, in a couple of places, is somebody came in and there were some blank pages, and they have later come in and done, written various things. I know there are names on here and other sorts of things going on. So that happens in a couple of places there, and I think here later as well. So there was just empty space. This happens a lot in manuscript. There's empty space, and somebody comes along later to fill them in. Another thing that I think is really interesting about this manuscript is that it has this back flyleaf and paste down that comes from a much earlier manuscript. You can see this is made of parchment, and it's from a mid-11th century manuscript. So you can see here, very nice. So I like that. A nice example of sort of a reuse of a manuscript that was probably in pieces and they didn't need anymore, so they decided to use it as part of the binding for this manuscript. So if you'd like to find out more about LJS 236, you can find the description online, and this is your video orientation to LJS 236.